Located on historic Route 66 in South St. Louis, celebrating its 95th anniversary this April, Ted Drew's has become an institution. Slinging more concrete than a Kansas soccer stadium parking lot, it is a must-see and eat on your trip to the Lou. Be sure to go to explorestl.com to check out this celebration's details and much more before your trip to the 314. On today's episode, Jarod and I go on a run. Not a literal jog, but we touch on some of our favorite topics, such as Urban Chestnut's new Zwickel Light, VAR's ominous role in global soccer, an opinion writer in Kansas that makes high school rankings but doesn't like math, and a breakdown of Year 2, Game 1 of our continued rivalry with that team from Salina. Episode Your Name Here starts now.
Listen up, guys. While you lay claim to the garage, the basement, and that generous little corner of the walk-in closet, let's be abundantly clear. The bathroom belongs to the ladies. The fact that there's a line in the morning means you need to think about a new one for you and the kids. So why don't you set up an adult field trip and go check out Crescent Plumbing Supply Showroom. CrescentSupply.com. Everybody wins.
We're back. Soccer Dad Pod time.
Long intro here. Ooh, I love this song.
So that old B3. Just screaming. You like this one?
Yeah, I'm not a convertible guy, but this makes me want to have a convertible. Nice day. Just down rolling.
Convertible. I'm going to guess mid-70s cute little Volkswagen Bug. Is that your style?
No.
Black on black, though?
No, I may be the Bronco type.
Now I can't get that image out of my head.
Wearing a fedora.
Oh, yeah, that would be so brilliant. That's what you do. Drive down Maggio's, park in front. We're back. Another episode of the Soccer Dad Pod. We've been busy lately. You know, just the calendar's filling up. Got a lot of great guests coming down the pipe. We've had a lot of, we've been lucky, dude. We've had great guests literally from day one. So first off, thank you to all you listeners. The support's been great. Really, the numbers don't lie. You guys are listening. So keep it up. Like, review, follow, share, all that cool stuff. It's free. And it just really helps our self-esteem.
It's been a minute since we got a legitimate typed out review. And I mean, even if you guys want to say JB, Zach, you guys are awesome, but I really like the other guy, say it. Or vice versa. Say that too. Send a review, folks.
Yeah. Especially that other guy. We're here on a what day of the week is it? It's Monday.
Tough time with your days of the week.
I am. I'm feeling.
You need a job.
I got a job. You just don't like the fact that mine's a little fluid.
Yeah.
It is Monday. Little Charles Bradley changes on the way in, which was originally a Black Sabbath Ozzy Osbourne song. Go check it out.
Hall of Fame. Ozzy Osbourne. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That all came out today, didn't it?
Today or recently.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm going to get some thank yous out the door first. Number one, Explore St. Louis. Really appreciate all the support. I was on the website today, explorestl.com. They do a tremendous job of pulling together what's going on. And we're entering into festival season. I mean, festival season in St. Louis, to a degree, is year-round. But the outdoor ones, a little bit bigger. The parks are starting to bloom, have bloomed. There's a lot. Go to explorestl.com. Check it out. Get out. Go support small. Go eat the food trucks. Do all that stuff. I also want to thank the Kransberg Arts Foundation, KAF. Again, new supporter of the show. Who will be housing us as soon as I can get some furniture moved over there. New studio space for all that day job work I do, Jarod.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking forward to it. So
Will you have a calendar up in that space? You'll know what day it is?
No, I probably won't. It'd probably be vintage.
Yeah.
It actually would be wrong.
Yeah.
Same with CrescentSupply.com, Crescent Plumbing Supply. New location. They're opening a showroom over on Olive across from the new Costco, a whole new district over there. So go check it out. Get that bathroom and kitchen fixed. Today, this Monday, beautiful day, we're sitting out on the patio at a friend of ours, his fine establishment, located in Fenton, across the highway from your favorite place in the world, St. Louis Soccer Park.
Yeah.
We're over here at F-Bag. It always sounds like it insinuates kind of a curse word in a weird way, but it's short for Fenton Bar and Grill. Love the food here.
Food's good, and I tell you what, we're coming right into the time of year where this patio is going to be extremely appetizing. They've had it closed up for the recent history that we've been here, and it looks like they're starting opening things up here a little bit.
Spring patio season is upon. So thanks, Chuck. Appreciate you giving us the table here in the back on the patio. Wanted to send a special thank you out to our friends Chris, Bill, and Pete from the Pinnacle Loans as well. Business shift, relationships. They're everything's cyclical, and these guys have been great. They're going to be on the hill for a long, long time. Go get the help. They will be moving on as a supporter of the show because, you know what? Like I said, business changes. Hence, Charles Bradley changes. I didn't even realize that. I realized that as I was saying what I was just saying. So, another great theme song.
The music means something.
It does. It always does. We will, however, we cannot give up on the points because I think we come into these episodes with just a million things on our mind. And in order to keep things moving, we have ideas and points. So, in the meantime, we are going to be making a shift from the pinnacle points of the day to, quote, your name here, end quote, points of the day.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be an advertisement. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, supporting us, and you would love it to be your name here, points of the day, and we can get creative on that. Got a lot of ideas on what we can call it. Hit us up because it's one of our favorite parts of the show. We talk about this all the time. Which brings us to the first your name here, point of the day. What you got, Jared? I know you've been thinking about it.
I got a handful, but I'll start with, this is on a Monday for those of you like JB that don't have a calendar. It'll be released later in the week. Friday going into this weekend, our beloved City 2 plays a home game. The fan turnout is just something to behold. I think there were 7,000 people there for this game. And the 4 games in a row at home, I think that we've broken records, and just the fan turnout is something to be talked about. But specifically, City 2 wins the game 2-0.
Yep.
And close friends of the show, kids that 2 kids on that team that I really, really like. I've enjoyed the time that I've been able to be around them. They score. Makai Joyner, coming from the Gallagher program, he scores a banger. He gets on the end of a knockdown in the box and just hammers it home and does his patent flip, the Ozzie Smith flip.
Yep. He gets air on that.
He does, man. He
doesn't quite get that 82 air.
Yeah.
But it's up there.
Yeah, so you could tell he's having fun. And then Caden gets his first goal of the year. Caden Glover gets his first goal of the year. Kind of a gift, but he does bury it, and that's what nines do, who are goal-scoring nines. He buries it. They win 2-0 in front of that big crowd, and it's awesome to see the 2 young guys score that we both really like.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I had a lot of kind of thoughts about that game. You touched on most of them. Number one, 7,000 people. Apparently across the MLS Next 2 league, whatever. What is it called? Is it MLS Next Pro or no?
I think that's what it's called. I think it's City 2 playing in the MLS Next Pro.
Yeah. So that league, they said that attendance was the highest year to date at any of the venues
Ever.
But the fact that there's so many of our backyard kids out there, and those two in particular, coming up through the pipe. I mean, Mackay was from Central Illinois, came down here to Gallagher a number of years ago, funneled through the city, and then obviously everybody knows Caden's story growing up over on the east side. His dad had him over at the Steamer Soccer Club, running lawnmowers at him and throwing pit bulls at him, perfecting his foot skills over to Gallagher and then on to City. And they're on, they're on the big stage, and it's a matter of time. And
it
that's
is
cool.
a matter of time. And the last thing I'll leave you with is they both were on a little social media thing or a little interview at the end of the game or after the game was completed, and it was them two together. I just enjoyed listening to them two talk because you can tell they haven't talked in that capacity after a game a whole hell of a lot. But what they said was genuine. They said thanks to the fans. They said all the right things. I'm really pulling for both of those two dudes to be successful because I just like them a whole hell of a lot.
No, well said. City 2, getting it going. Last thing I want to say about it is also that's a precursor, because inevitably we're going to be talking about the first team here in a little bit. When you look at the City 2 team, they're doing well, but they're doing well with a lot of kids on the field. Because let's not forget, Caden is a 2007.
It's like he's a seasoned vet. He's a 2007.
Yeah. So that's crazy. Mackay, he's got a couple months on him, a little bit older. Still, they're both puppies, still in high school, living their best lives. So congratulations, boys. My pinnacle / your name here, point of the day, my first one. I'm going to go across the pond to England. I'm just going to mix them together. I got two things I want to bring up. Number one was the Nottingham Forest game for a couple different reasons. Number one, Gio gets in, but he's pulled in the 56th minute. Chaos game. There was 3 instances in which handballs and a foul in the box, on Gio. Yeah. None of them were called. Went to VAR. VAR did not reward one of the PKs to Nottingham. And now Nottingham Forest team, front office, they basically sent a letter to the FA saying, this is bullshit. Something's wrong. You can't. And they claim that the VAR video individual that was, because they get all the names of who's going to be the ref, who's going to be the linesman. Apparently, the VAR rep was admittedly a Luton Town fan.
Oh, how does that happen?
Right? Going into, you're in relegation battle zone, right? So you have that kind of breaks and then these 3 things. And my point of bringing this up is VAR seems to be shitting the bed, not only here, because everybody complains about it virtually every game, and then there's people like George Gansner who's going to be like, well, no, let's break this down, right? Mm-hmm. But most of us are like, it just doesn't pass the sniff test.
Yeah.
But it's also failing in the Champions League. It's failing, in the FA Cup. How do you go from, say, 10 short years ago, right? There's no goal line technology. There's no VAR.
I think it failed in a good way for our result this weekend in Kansas City.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
We are going to talk about it. And the thing that it came to fruition, VAR started to enter these leagues because people just wanted it to be right. We have technology. Let's get it right and move on. Quickly get it right and move on. Whether that's goal line technology, whether it's just strictly offsides or not, or whether it's a foul that happened right before the goal. And it's weird to me, and it's unfortunate that it seems like it's not getting it right when it should.
So this brings me to an idea that I had in regards to VAR, right? Because, like in the NHL, anytime there's a replay, they always say, let's go to New York, or we're going to New York with the replay, right? VAR in England in particular, let's just talk about the EPL.
Okay.
Are you telling me that they can't afford like a home office in London and you have treat it like the Supreme Court. There's 9 people, right? And anytime there's a VAR situation, immediately the video goes to each of their independent 9 screens. They have 15 seconds to watch the thing twice and then vote yes or no, right?
Yep.
Now, there's no ties. And it becomes completely independent. It's not one person reviewing the VAR.
And you could almost report it after the fact that this one was 5-4, so it was close, or this one was 9-0.
Yes.
Cut and dry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But but it takes the whole human error aspect of it out.
Or the fandom out of it, or the guy that's got some money on the game. And I hope we're not doing that. But yeah, VAR is not great, I don't think. I think for what it was intended for, I think that there's a lot of conversation in each instances that it takes place globally. And I don't think that's what it was intended for.
Nah, they got to figure this out. I mean, there's too much technology to get this thing wrong. And I get when you slow things down to 1/100th of a second, everything looks extreme.
But if we are involved in that 9-person social justice,
I would love that.
I would love it too. For me, and social media did blow up. I'm not going to talk about the handballs, but I don't think that was a foul on Gio.
No, I agree.
I don't think it was a foul. I don't think you reward a PK there, so I think they did get that one right.
Yeah.
But if you looked at social media, and especially the Sam's Army fans on social media, people were mad. They thought that he earned the PK, and
yeah, I think that's homers being a homer, because if it weren't for the 2 handballs, one for sure, like they blew one for sure. So when you add them all up, it just makes the Gio scenario like sus, right?
yeah.
So anyway, enough VAR. What, you got another one for me?
I do. My wife, this weekend, we had a jam-packed weekend between games and practices and going here and there. And I can tell you what I did, but nobody cares. But what I did, if we're talking on the Explore STL route, my wife, myself, and the kiddos, we went to a Cardinal game yesterday. But before the Cardinal game,
Did you bring a pillow?
No, it was terrible. That's a whole nother year point / pinnacle point of the day conversation. But
It's called Your Name Here.
your name here. But let me tell you this. What we did do is we stopped at the Urban Chestnut in the Grove. We were there when they opened the doors at noon. And what we did is we ate. So we were trying to save a little bit of money before we went to the game. We got the pizza. We got the cheese fries with bacon.
You guys were at the beer hall.
Yeah.
In the Grove.
In the Grove.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, if people listening are up for slices of za or the pizza, if you will, you're missing out. If you're doing yourself a disservice, you don't go there. And they just released 95 carb summer Zwickel Light. I had some of those too. I had the most enjoyable time. All the doors were open. The pizza was phenomenal. The beer was great. Do yourself a favor and make your way down to the Grove and just order a pizza and get a Zwickel Light and send us a review and just say thanks.
I'm with you, man. I was out at Lou Hughes Fields on Sunday. Friends of ours from Chicago were in town. Their boy plays for what would be equivalent to the ECNL for Chicago Fire.
Okay.
They came down. They played Fuse. They won. But we went to get a cold one at halftime and brought up Zwickel Light, and he goes, "Man, I'm too much of a fan of the show because I kind of want a Zwickel Light now after hearing Jarod talk about it." So,
well, I bought.
Anyway.
I will say this, Mr. Shine, because he was there too, getting ready for Earth Day celebration or something they got going on there. 12-pack. You can buy a 12-pack to go, and they're in 12-ounce cans. $17.
That's awesome.
I need to negotiate the price a little bit different, but it might be worth $17 because it's flipping delicious.
Hey, so my Your Name Here, point 2, Metro Sports Mocan, spelled capital M-O, capital K-A-N. You see that account on Twitter?
Yeah, I did see it today, and I think the back part of that call sign or that handle,
should be the first part.
KAN. That says all that you need.
Yeah, so a little background here, people. Metro Sports MoCan is short for Missouri, Kansas. Their stated home court, where they put the pin and what city you're from, is Kansas City, Missouri. Pretty big account. They've got almost 13,000 followers. They came out with a top Missouri girls soccer rankings, high school soccer rankings, top 25. And basically, it is definitely Kansas City heavy. Starts with Park Hill South is number 1, Narings is number 2. Then it's St. Pius, Blue Springs, Green Valley, and then it comes. Oh wait, Liberty North is also Kansas, right? And Nixa. Basically, there's 2 St. Louis teams in the top 10. So you know us. I mean, we're friendly. We like good conversations. I reached out to the guy, and I'm like, hey, seems a little sus. Love to see a true RPI ranking, period. His reply was...
This is the dumbest reply ever, and I don't even think he can do math.
No, he goes, you'll never see us do a ranking based on math. I say, and the Soccer Dad Pods reply, and you guys really should follow us on Twitter. We're pretty insightful. Our reply on Twitter was, is there a particular reason why? ? Seems reasonable to do. Meaning, why don't you have a mathematical ranking so that this can be fairly balanced, right? Here's his reply. Our brand is built on giving journalists, in quotes, it's actually not in quotes. I said it's in quotes, but it's not in quotes. Giving journalists a voice and content. When we write rankings, we want it to be indicative of our staff's opinion, not what a mathematical model says. In other words, we don't really care about the objective reality of how good these teams are. This is a subjective poll, and we prefer our Kansas City homers. Here
is some meat and potatoes for you, St. Louis. High school girls soccer.
Yeah. You guys should all be following this guy.
Listen to the reasoning here. They have St. Joseph's Academy at 16 in this poll, and they haven't lost yet. They have Fort Zumwalt South, who's a good program. Won a lot of state championships lately. They have 4 losses, and they're ranked higher than St. Joseph's. Eureka is the best team that St. Joe even played. They're not even ranked. Dominic is 25. Dominic beat Eureka.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, no, but again, this is somewhat indicative of Kansas soccer brains. There's no mathematical reasoning. There's no historical analysis. There's no let's evaluate pound for pound, trend or legacy. Let's see how the records are. No. This is about opinion. So, needless to say, Metro Sports MoCan with the blue check. We're going to be following you. We're going to be keeping you on your toes. And if you're listening, give them a follow too. Just kind of this form of journalism is not good for high school sports.
Speaking of journalism, I'm going to go your name here, point of the day, 5.
There you go. You got it.
On social media, if we're talking about social media, I think the author of this meme, GIF, whatever you want to call it, mem, is our friends at the City Refs.
The Klaus bomb.
The Klaus Vardar VAR foul. And we'll talk about that here in a minute, that sent center mid from KC into orbit. And I'm going to take credit for it. Their GIF was so great because Klaus hit them, and they said, we're sending them back to the weight room. But the first thing they go through is out the front door of Children's Mercy Park. And then they go by Nebraska Furniture Mart, which I just got a kick out of. And then they go back through some junk barbecue place that Gerard Kraft wouldn't even eat at. And then finals into the weight room. kudos to you boys. That was a laugh out loud GIF. Even if you're from Kansas City, you probably had to laugh at that.
Yep.
Other than you were probably mad that VAR got it wrong, because let's talk about it now.
Well, hold on. I want to do one more, because after the break, we're really gonna get into the City game, because there's a lot of things that went down in that game. I'm gonna bring up your name here, point of the day. I'm going to go back to girls high school soccer just for a second here, because our friends over at the St. Louis Champions League, with previous guest, most recently, really, Tim McAvoy and Select is sponsoring this event. The girls' inaugural year team pools were announced just the other day. And basically 16 teams.
Yep.
It's in season. If you know anything about soccer and you know Champions League, you know the Champions League is in season for all these major leagues. And it's the best of the best play each other so that you can figure out who is really the best between England and Germany and Spain, etc. Well, the High School Champions League, same concept, that is going to be mixing Class 1 through Class 4 metrics TBD, which we're going to get into that someday, because we need to figure out how they're picking these teams. Now, all of that being said, 16 teams were picked, 6 private schools, 10 public schools on the girls' side.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that when I read the list.
Yeah. So the private schools are Corey-Zoo, St. Joe, Viz, St. Dom, Narings, Ursuline, excuse me. And then the public schools in year 1 are Clayton, Ladue, Zumwalt South, Eureka, Zumwalt West, Lindbergh, Oakville, House Central, Liberty, and Lafayette.
Okay.
So it's going to be really cool, because the one thing about St. Louis soccer in general, high school especially, is there's different levels of bragging rights. This competition is going to kind of take down some of those barriers, because you're going to have the different classes that might play each other sporadically during the year, or every other year, or every third year on their schedule. But if you want the title of the best, Champions League is now going to give you that.
You know, if we're going down the Champions League route, and I'd like to chime in on, and this is what we need to do when these groups are announced, just like the NCAA tournament or whatnot, talk about the snubs. And for me, probably the snub that hits closest to home for me is Brady Demling's Francis Howell Vikings. They had to be number 17 or somewhere real close, because I think he's got it cooking there. And I'll be interested to see if he makes the nod the next year.
Well, Pacific is another one that jumps out when you look at some of the schools and what they've done recently, their runs into state, their records, etc. And this is where, in order for this to work long term, there has to be transparency in how these teams are picked, and they have to figure out a way to put out a true RPI where you can rank these teams, and there be multipliers for small schools that beat big schools, multipliers for advancing into winning district, going into state, winning state, whatever it is. They have to figure that out, because if you lose the opportunity for Cinderella stories, in my opinion, this is just a continuation of the old guard, in a cool way, but could be so much better.
Interesting point. Also, as we're taking a look at the group, is Dave Ehrenberg's Ladue girls are in. They might have been one of those snubs on the men's side after taking home the state title this year.
Yeah, no,
so it's interesting, and this is a lot of fun. There's a lot of there's going to be a lot of narrative around it. Like I can't wait to talk about it as this thing evolves.
Well, I think the biggest part of this thing, and this is so many offline conversations, debates between us and clubs and high school coaches and just parents and families. We finally have a reason to really start to create a legitimate debate between the current state of the order of club soccer, the dominance of the academies, to high school. High school's counterpunching now. And it's going to be good. It's going to be good because now families, kids coming up through the mix, if their child is on the bubble, here's something that they legitimately have to consider.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, again, if there are worthy Cinderellas that can knock out Goliaths every now and then, that's going to be a big deal. I think it's great.
I'm so excited to just take a look at that MoCan's rankings throughout the year, and I'm really excited to see the state tournament down the stretch.
How long till you think he blocks us?
It's really going to stink if the girls' side, if Kansas takes 3 of those 4, because I'm hoping St. Louis sweeps, and then we can be like, remember this stupid text, MoCan?
Oh, I've already screenshot it. Put it on my to-do. It's actually scheduled, I think, for June 1st, a review. So, hey, we're out here at Fenton Bar and Grill. Thanks, Chuck, for opening the doors. Great, ice-cold beer. And arguably, top 3 trash wings. You like them. You're a big fan.
I think it's a top 3 bar food in general. And there's a lot of good bar food places in St. Louis.
Yeah, you know what it is for me? It's the tater tots. Yep. Keep all that seasoned fried bullshit. Give me a tater tot. Hey, we're going to be right back after the break, getting some refills here. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Music at the Intersection will be a 2-day, jam-packed music festival with an abundance of food, beverage, and merch vendors throughout. With 2-day passes starting at $175 and 1-day passes at $95, $40 for kids 12 to 18, and free for kids under 12, it'll be a banger. So go to musicattheintersection.org to get your tickets and be part of the party.
I'm Max, and I'm 9 years old. When I'm not playing soccer, jumping on a trampoline, or playing Xbox, with permission of course, I listen to the Baked In podcast with Josh Allen. Josh talks to some of the most incredible business leaders in St. Louis. From Maxine Clark of Build-A-Bear to Gerard Kraft, the Chief Flavor Officer for my favorite team, St. Louis City SC. There's something for everyone. If you are interested in the secret sauce of success, check out the Baked In podcast. Now, back to those old guys.
Got the old acoustic, pulling at my strings, no pun intended.
A little 6-string wooden box. We're back. Fenton Bar and Grill. Running in. Little Zach Bryan. My buddy McCullough. You met him. Big dude from Granite. Superman.
Yeah.
Nickname. Called me the other day. He's like, hey, you like Zach Bryan? I'm like, I like Zach Bryan. He goes,
Did you get tickets?
I did.
Can you get me some? Because they're $1 million. And my kid wants to go so bad, and I'm just not buying $600 tickets.
I got you. You heard it here first. And if you're listening and you call for tickets, we expect a review in advance. Zach Bryan Snow rolling us back in. Like I said, we're out here at Fenton Bar and Grill. Got a little refill on some ice cold Miller Lights. Sorry, Aaron. It's that kind of day. It's a Monday. We're back for second half of Soccer Dad Pod here. Jared and I chopping it up. We said before the break, kind of alluded to the derby. Do you even call it derby? Is it? I mean,
do you like barbecue? First off, that's what they're calling it. I don't mind the barbecue.
I think it's dumb.
It probably is dumb.
Barbecue.
But will
Derby-Q.
will you get used to it? Because I think it's going to be called the barbecue. Whether you think it's dumb or not, I think that's what they're calling it moving forward.
Well, I would expect nothing less from a bunch of EA Sports nerds naming a rivalry.
Well, Joey Zanaboni on him and Dale, they do their post-game notes, and he called it the barbecue. So
I mean, what is it? Is Maul's Barbecue coming out of like hibernation to name this thing?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it?
I mean, because I think our barbecue's better, and people think I'm just absolutely nuts.
You know what? It's one of those things. If you do a blind taste test and you get a whole bunch of styrofoam to-go boxes and load it up with each city's version of ribs, pulled pork, brisket, whatever, you're probably it's like tossing a coin.
Yeah.
Over time, you're going to pick each of them equally.
Yeah.
Because it's just barbecue. It's intended to just be cooked really long at a really low heat until it just falls apart.
And between Mr. Kraft and Salt and Smoke and the Sugar Fire family, I think I don't think Mocan will rank them in the top 10, but
Mo can.
but they're in my.
You know what that dude would probably do? He probably come to the table with some actual mathematics to try and prove Kansas City barbecue's better, as opposed to just opinions.
Yeah.
Like on the soccer side.
Yeah.
Hey, so anyway, over the weekend was a little bit of a match. Our boys flew across the state to play Kansas Soccer Club. Ended in 3-3 tie. So, let's start there. First game of the season in this, quote, rivalry. Because did you watch it in real time, or did you pick at it? Because I know you had a lot of shit going on that day.
I was at Top Golf during the live showing of it, but I did wake up Sunday, and we rewatched a decent portion of it.
So I watched it in real time with Kim and the kids on the couch, and I warned because the neighbor kid came over to watch it with Max. And we texted the parents to say, we apologize now for JB's mouth. And watched it in real time. And, I made the mistake of after every goal, because, there's 6 goals. There's a lot of goals.
There's been a lot of goals in the rivalry. I mean, and it was talked about during the telecast.
Average of 5 per game.
Crazy.
I kept on going to Twitter just to be like, okay, we score first, and the instinct is I'm going to jump all over them. And then I'm like, no, I'm smarter
But we
than that.
didn't score first.
Or they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yep.
I go on, I'm like, okay, they probably think that they're winning Champions League. That's what I felt after the first goal. And then we scored. It was after our second goal. So real quickly, I'm just going to kind of frame my state of mind, and then we'll get into some of the game. It was back and forth. They score first, we score 2. They then score 2, and we score 1 to tie it at the very end. Talk about a roller coaster of emotions for me, because obviously I kind of justifiably or not, I hate everything about the team. I don't care that they were first 8. I don't care about any of that. I want to beat them horribly every time we step on them. In fact,
I do too.
Here's the extent to which I do not like that team. I want every other team in the league to pound them every game. Like I've got City's my team. And then I have 28 other teams that I love that we're not playing, as long as they're playing KC.
Yeah, I agree. And the amount of whining that they do on the field, man, the game is a physical game, especially at our top men's level in our domestic league. And the one thing that we did win, and you don't get any points for it, so I'm not even going to go down this road for too long. But, we just beat them up all over the field. The Durkin kid, especially on our first goal, how he won that, and you can go to VAR on that first goal. He wins it shoulder to shoulder. Alm plays that glorious pass in. I think it was to Pompeo, I'll be frank, but at least they're high. They're really high on that right back, and Zhao runs right through him, scores for our first goal, tying goal. But Durkin, that dude, they showed a stat at the end of the first half. He had ran a half mile more than anybody else on the field. Yeah, he was all over the place.
Yeah, it was 6.5. It was almost a mile. It was like 6.5 to 5.8, something like. It was crazy.
Man, that kid, that's a good signing for us.
Yeah, no, he looked really, really good, and I think the thing about him too, and again, I think it was indicative of, you talk about us playing tough and beating him up. He was really, in my opinion, the key motor, because he was banging bodies all over the field.
Was pretty. That was for me. That was Mr. Klaus's best game since last year.
Yeah, since before the All-Star break.
Yeah, it meant something to him. You could tell he got on the end of everything.
So there was a lot of there's been a tremendous amount of speculation and worry about scoring goals because, I mean, we got a whole bunch of ties, not a lot of goals. We score 3 in this game. Klaus goes out there, has been somewhat struggling for, if we're all being honest with ourselves, he struggled for a bit.
Mm-hmm. We've been pressing for that goal.
And the glaring absence was Big Sam. Because in the games against KC last year, he ran at him. I mean, and knowing that we need goals, this character issue, etc., it's so tough to swallow because that's how much I hate KC. Like, give us everybody. Let's go score goals, and go at it. However, somebody pointed out to me, does it make sense to have Klaus and Big Sam on the field at the same time? What's your take on that?
I don't know. I like Sam to spell Zhao or to get his starts here and there. I don't buy the character issue stuff. I just don't buy it. But I'm not. That's enough said. I like Sam in a game like that. After Zhao has beat people up and has opened the game up a little bit, I like to have him come on with some meaningful minutes because he just creates chances.
Yeah. Big body, fast, soft feet, shoots from anywhere.
Yep.
So here's the thing then. We're playing in Kansas. When in watching the game, like for kids watching the game that are city kids, city fans, what is your coach / consultant? What do you take away from that game? Because I think you kind of led with it.
Well, I think the first thing that I take away from that game, first and foremost, is you can talk about our results, our lack thereof results, or lack thereof 3 points previously in the year. And granted, we did not gain 3 points on a hard road game, barbecue game. My thoughts are that was the best first half we played maybe since the All-Star break, before the All-Star break last year. We were dominant in the game in the first half. Like, they scored a good goal, ticky-tacky, maybe a giveaway in the middle of the field, but they broke us down, and they scored a pretty good goal, their first goal to go up 1-0 in a half that I think that we dominated. And that's encouraging for as a fan in our style of play that you can argue yes or no. We just dominated the first half.
Well, speaking of style of play, I mean, if you're watching the first half, that felt a little less Red Bullish and a little bit more possession-ish.
Yes.
And then you look at what happened, right? It just looked better.
It did. And then we go into the second half, and kind of what I was doing, and I didn't have to tell anybody, I didn't have to send any disclaimers, text, because I didn't have any young kids there. I didn't like how we started the first 30 minutes of the second half. I thought our lines were way too low, and there was too much space between our midfield and Zhao, which maybe is why you could bring Sam in at that point. But I thought that with Kansas's changes, they were on the ball entirely way too much for me, where I was just pulling my hair out like, let's get on the ball. But we were opportunistic, and we did get forward when we could. And I just didn't like the non-possession or the lack thereof for 25 minutes in the second half.
So here's kind of a zoom-out opinion of the whole situation, and I'm going to tie in your original point earlier today talking about City 2. If you zoom out and you look at, okay, first team is sitting in 7th, I believe. 7th place. And here's the thing. They're only like 5 points out of second.
Yeah, they're fine. Their results and go ahead. I don't mean to cut in, but we're fine there in the table.
Well, so there's that. And we're in that position with Leuven out for what they talk about as a personal issue. You've got Bloom out on injury. You've got other kind of key players injured, and we're still in a playoff spot right now. Moving, we haven't had like a telltale bad game where you're just like, oh my God, we were awful. Maybe the, 3-1, 3-0 Real game.
Yeah, we didn't look good in that one.
So if that's the anomaly, if that's the outlier, and then again, looking down the pipe, you look at the City 2 team, you look at the players that are starting to stand out there and move. It's this whole learning curve that I think the club, we're further along in this process than anybody ever expected us to be. And good decisions are being made.
I think that if we're talking about our style specifically, that first half, 45 minutes, 47 minutes of extra time, 52 minutes in that first half, and what we did in that game, playing our style, it really works when we have Durkin moving that much in the middle of the field, when we're winning challenges and duels, when we're getting forward, when we're getting restarts and throwing balls in the box. I think from a stylistic aspect, we're going to lose games 3-1, 4-1 when we just don't have it and we're on our back foot. But we're going to compete with anybody when we do play our style, and it's working, and everybody's on board. I mean, our both Markanich and Tater Tot, whatever we're going to call them, they were up the field quite a bit. They were in the game. They did not get beat a ton. The goals basically came up through the middle. I thought I would be interested because I know Roman Berkey is his probably biggest critic, and he's a leader on our team, and he's clearly, for me, the best goalie in our league. But I thought in that game, especially the goal that they initially credited to Shallowy, and I think the next day later they gave it an own goal. I think 9 out of 10 times he parries that over the bar or he gets his mitts on that, because I think that I'm not going to blame goals because you win as a team and lose as a team, but Berkey wants to have that one back for sure. And then I think the second goal, it's a bad play out by Parker. They press, they step, and they're coming at us, and there was a heavy touch on that. It's real easy to be Monday morning quarterback, but I thought Roman could have forced the issue and came out a lot more and made that more of a 50-50 ball. Good finish by the kid. Can't blame it, but 3-3 tie. God, I just want to win that game against our rivals.
Oh, I know. And this is where I was really torn, because when Tots put in that third to tie it in the 92nd or whatever with 3 minutes of extra time, right? I kind of foolishly, and I was embarrassed for myself, I cheered as if we won.
Or did you cheer we didn't lose?
Yes. The answer is yes to both. So, hey, here's the deal. I'm looking at the standings. Just chalk it up. Today's date, where are we? Monday, April 22nd. Eastern Conference. You know who's at the top there?
Cincinnati.
Miami.
Oh, Miami.
By
Barcelona, too.
Well, actually, Cincinnati's got a game in hand. Miami has 18 points. Cincinnati's in third with 15. Red Bulls are in second with 16. Jump, and then go down to 8th place, 9th, which would kind of be the wild card, is at 11 points, and that's Charlotte. Western Conference, Galaxy's at the top, number 1. Also 18 points, but they have a game in hand. Miami's played 10. They played 9. St. Louis is actually in 9th. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Sunday games move things around. But we have 12 points. So we're right in the middle of the mix. I think of all the stats, goal differential. You know what we are as of today?
Not like we were through 9 games last year.
I think through 9 games last year was like a plus 10, plus 11.
Okay.
We're at a plus 1.
Okay.
So, there it is. I mean, all of this over-analysis from a million different pundits. If you're listening, look, the Soccer Dad Pod is going to break this down for you. It's real simple. We've scored 1 more goal than we've given up, and we've only won 2 games out of 9 with 5 draws. So when you score more, you don't tie, which gives you wins, which gives you more points. Everything else, it's all noise.
Yeah, and I think we're going to continue to score goals with this group, and I hope. And I don't want to speculate what's going on between the club and Sam, but whatever's going on there, I hope before the July 1st window, I hope they get something together because I think we can use him on our field because what you were just talking about, scoring more goals, he scores goals.
Yeah.
And he creates chances.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, like the club's MO out of the gate was high pace, super exciting, entertaining. Well, ties aren't entertaining, and fewer goals than last year also isn't. So let's lean into it. Let's get some goals going.
Yeah, I agree.
So a couple other things going on. Wanted to talk about you saw it too, Sergio Dest. This is big news for me personally. When you look at the national team and you look at our best 30, they're all in Europe right now. I mean, let's call a spade a spade.
Yep.
Sergio was one that arguably fighting for a top 3 rank, as far as one of our best players. And the rumor is we're looking at 6 months with a knee out.
6 months and a knee is not your normal knee injury.
No. So, U.S. soccer, it's like 2 steps forward, 2.5 steps backwards, right? We keep, with Gio comes out of the last tournament looking great, goes back to Nottingham, and they don't love him, and Sergio Dest is really clipping, doing his thing, and here comes a knee. And then you've got Pulisic, which is really where I was going with this. He is now the official fan favorite at Milan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Like they've got songs for him now.
Yeah. I mean, how great do you think his time coming from Chelsea, and if of course his wife's there, just his family in general, how awesome of an experience has it been for Christian? And he deserves every minute of it.
Well, I think it's one of those things that, and there's a moral to this story. When he was traded to Chelsea, me being a Chelsea fan, out of the gate, down at my favorite establishment, Amsterdam, all of us old Chelsea fans.
That's the one with the bush blue wall.
That's exactly, yeah. Wrong color. But we weren't fans of it. And the reason was none of us thought that he was going to get the minutes. And granted, for Chelsea, Pulisic comes onto the team, and all of a sudden you've got 50,000, 100,000 new Chelsea fans all buying Pulisic jerseys for obvious reasons, but he never played. And when he did play, he did okay, but he was injury prone. The EPL is different.
Yes, it is.
And I was so happy for him when he got traded out to Italy, to Milan, and here you go. He is literally, he's carrying the team. And I love that. American players abroad at a major club.
Yeah.
Brian McBride had his years at Fulham. So did Clint Dempsey and Tim Ream. Fulham's been good to Americans. A handful of other players in other scenarios. But if Pulisic keeps this up, is there going to be a more valuable American player to a perennial Champions League squad than what he's doing at Milan?
No, I don't think so. And you know what the telltale is for me on him is I thought he had that initial swagger at Chelsea during their Champions League run. But then the playtime and then the injuries, and just the overall aura of it, the way he carries himself in that organization and on that field from just a fan from the outside looking in, it's a different Christian Pulisic. And he's got that chip on his shoulder that we've had in years past with like Landon and Clint Dempsey, and to my knowledge, they didn't do what they're doing in the first league in Italy. But I just love the arrogance, the correct arrogance, and how he is playing on a week-to-week basis, because he is taking that team on his back, and he's acting like he's been there, and they're following, and it's really cool to watch in that grand of a stage.
So So here's my thing. Here's my moral of the story takeaway too, is I kind of look at the fit. We talk about this often, right? A player's fit, be it style or location or geography or whatever. And Pulisic, obviously, at that level, I mean, your agents are telling you what the best fit is based on the bottom line in many, many cases. But in this particular case, he landed in a place that works. So funnel that concept all the way down, because we're in springtime here in St. Louis, and all these IDs and all these kick arounds, and everybody's freaking out over where's my kid going to play in the fall and what team, what level. Sometimes don't just look at the alphabet soup, and don't just look at the pyramid that people lay out and say here's the top. Find a good fit.
It's interesting that you say that, because that goes for youth soccer, it goes for college soccer,
yes,
and it goes for the top level, who is arguably our best American player, maybe our most important American player, some would argue, definitely a top fiver. Just fit-wise, look what he's doing versus what he did.
No, I'm with you. And it changes his mindset, everything, right? Kids are no different. And I don't, whether they're youth level, high school, college, or whatever, slow down, right? Find a good fit. Go talk to the coaches. Just get a feel for vibe. Go to the locations. You know who said that pretty well, and I think articulated himself absolutely. It was interesting to me. Is Mr. Otek that you just had on Soccer Mom Sunday? Mm. He's running that or he's involved in running that girls GA academy at Lou Fuse in multiple different age groups. He's got a fresh take on it. I liked what he had to say in yours and Jen's show with him. Those girls are lucky to have that guy because he's pretty forthright, and I think you see what you get. And he's not Mr. Secretive guy, and no. He's an open book. And you're right. Go talk to the coach. I mean, and that's a perfect example. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. Didn't even think about that. If just kind of bringing you up to speed on this, Soccer Mom Sunday, most recent release, we dropped Chad Otek, who is the coach of the 2008 Lou Fuse GA, which is basically the counterpart to MLS Next over on the girls' side. ECNL and GA, they kind of battle for that kind of superiority. Long story short, they've won national championships. They're in the mix every year. He's placing a long list and growing of girls at the highest schools. And he flat out addressed that. Do your homework. Find the culture. Find the fit. Sometimes what you think is the best fit is not good for your kid. I was so impressed just looking at the socials about that show and just doing a little bit of research because the guy intrigued me. The amount of colleges and the type of colleges that have seen his girls play in the spring versus what the spring looked like for his program 4 years ago. Somebody take a look. If your idea is to play college soccer, they're watching that group. I mean, because there's just tons of colleges. No, I'm with you. What a day, Jared. It's that time. A little bit of a shorter episode today. Yeah. We got some good ones coming up, man. I mean, this was just a good refresher. I like that we got to recap the game because we both watched it. We both have opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Yeah, but I think ours are important. We're important assholes. Yeah, because this Mo Can guy, his opinions, those don't count. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Again, the best support you can give us is like, review, follow, share. Any one of the 4 or 2 or 3 of those would be appreciated. Fenton Bar and Grill, thank you for having us out here, and we will catch up with all of you next time. Got some guests coming down the pipe. Catch you later.